Lesson 20 today is about multiples and the least common multiple. The first problem that we have here is to list the first four multiples of 8. Let's get a green pen. We'll use purple today instead. List the first four multiples of 8. If we want to list the first four multiples of 8, that means we're going to have to multiply. Okay, multiples always is going to mean multiply by something. So our first multiple of 8 is just saying 8 times 1. And remember, when a number touches a parenthesis, it means to multiply. So our first multiple of 8 is 8. Our second multiple of 8, 8 times 2, is equal to 16. Our third multiple of 8, 8 times 3, we know that's 24. And our first four multiples of 8, well, the fourth multiple of 8, 8 times 4, is going to give us 32. Okay, so when we say list the first four multiples of 8, this is all we have to do, 8, 16, 24, and 32. To find multiples, we're really just skip counting. Let's look at our next example. We want to find all multiples of 9 that are less than 50. So let's skip count by 9. We've got 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54. Well, we could keep going, but remember the question says that are less than 50. So if we want numbers that are less than 50, well, we're going to cross this 54 off the list. We can go ahead and put a box around all of our other numbers, and we've got our answers. 9, 18, 27, 36, and 45. Let's move on to our next example. Okay, we've got some key vocabulary. We've got something called a common multiple and a least common multiple, which will be abbreviated LCM. Let's look at two numbers. Let's say we have the numbers 4 and we have the number 6. If we want to find common multiples of 4 and 6, what we need to do is we need to skip count by those numbers. Let's box them so we remember which numbers we're working with. Let's make a list of multiples of 4. We've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, and let's stop there for now. For 6, we have 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and 36. Now, common multiples just means what do these have in common? So a common multiple between 4 and 6, well, common multiples would be, well, they both have a 12, so 12 is a common multiple of 4 and 6. They both have a 24, so those are common multiples of 4 and 6. We could keep going with this pattern and we could figure out what common multiples they have. Let's put some arrows here to show that they're exactly the same. That's a common multiple. So we're going to use this as our definition for a common multiple. Now, what is the least common multiple? Well, the least common multiple of 4 and 6, the two numbers that we have above, the least common multiple of 4 and 6 must be equal to 12. And the reason is because it's the smallest common multiple, or the least common multiple. It's just as it sounds. So it's the smallest number, they're in common, so it must be the least common multiple. So the least common multiple of 4 and 6 will be equal to 12. Right? We've got it. We can go ahead and just use this information to help us with our definitions. And sometimes an example in numbers is just as good as an example with words. Let's move on to our next slide. Okay, what we want to do here is we want to find the least common multiple of 24, 55, and 80. Our first step in this process, we're going to write our steps out up here today. First step is to make factor trees. So let's make a factor tree of each of these numbers. First, we've got 24. 24, we're going to break that into its prime factors using a factor tree. So 24, that's the same as 6 times 4. We could have said 12 times 2 or 8 times 3. We get the same answer in the end. 6 is 3 times 2, and 4 is 2 times 2. Let's go ahead and circle all of our prime factors, because that's what we're going to end up using in the end. Let's look at 55. 55. first thing that comes to my head is 11 times 5. And 11 is prime, and 5 is prime, so let's circle both of them. Let's look at 80. 80. How about 8 times 10? You could have said 4 times 20. You'll get the same answer in the end. 8 is 4 times 2. We've got one prime number there of 2. And 4 is 2 times 2. 10. We've got to break that down into its prime factors. That would be 5 and 2. All right. Now, what we're going to do for our second step. List prime factors of each number. Now, in order to do step 2, well, we've done step 1. Step 1 is right here, all the way across. Step 2, well, we're going to say 24. 24 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, because we can see that right here. 55 is equal to 5 times 11. And 80 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. So we've got 4 2's there. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. All right, we've got our second step. The third step that we have in this process. Listen carefully to this. Third step. Circle the prime number where it happens the most. We're actually going to have 4 steps in here. So I'm going to erase this right now. If you've made a line under it, you should as well. Okay, because we'll continue this with our 4th step in a moment. Circle the prime number where it happens the most. Now what that means is we're going to go through these numbers and we're going to figure out where 2 happens the most. Well, 2 happens 3 times with 24, but it happens 4 times with 80. So we're going to circle those 4 2's. 3. 3 happens the most here with 24, once. 5. 5 happens once with 55 and once with 80. So we can circle either one of them. It doesn't make a difference, but we only circle one of them. And then 11 only happens once, so we circle it once. All right, we've circled the prime number where it happens the most. Step 4, multiply the prime numbers you circled in step 3. Multiply the circled numbers in step 3. Let's go ahead and do that. We're going to say 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 times 11. And this is the least common multiple of 24, 55, and 80. So 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, 2 times 2 again is 4. Then we have 3 times 5. Well, that's 15. And we're going to multiply by 11. 4 times 4, that's 16. 15 times 11, do you remember our trick by 11s? It would be 165. The trick by 11s is to say 15 times 11, 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 1 is 1. We've got 0 as a placeholder, 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 1 is 1. We get 165 if we look at the actual math. We'll box that to keep it out of the way. But the trick is to take your number, 15, make 1 way on the left, 5 way on the right, and add them up. So 1 plus 5 is 6. 165. We'll practice that some more in class. We have 16 times 165. That's going to give us our final answer. We're going to have to erase something here. Let's go ahead and erase our trick for 15s. We'll also, we'll just keep that. We've got plenty of room. 165 times 16. 165 times 16. This is going to give us that final answer. This problem has a lot. This is our last example for today, so make sure that you've got this written down. 6 times 5 is 30. Carry the 3. 6 times 6 is 36, plus 3 more is 39. Carry the 3. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 more is 9. We've got 0 as a placeholder. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 6 is 6. And 1 times 1 is 1. We add. Let's make this line vertically blue. Now, we've got 0 in our 1s, 14 in our 10s, we carry the 1. 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 6 more is 16, we carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2,640. We found it. The least common multiple of 24, 55, and 80 is 2,640. Now, we could have also skip counted, but it would have taken a long time to skip count by 24s in order to get to 2,640. So this method is much quicker. Please make sure to pause this video now if you don't have all this in your notes. This is something that we will refer back to in class. Okay, our lesson practice will be on page 72. Again, make sure you've got your notes completed, and I'll see you during our next class.